I have with me here Foxdrop,
Hello.
the another YouTuber who deals with. Sorry, you can explain yourself. What do you do?
Well, I do lots of things, my friend. What don't I do is a better question. Actually, that's not a better question because that's quite a broad topic.
What don't
But
you
yeah,
do?
well, I'm glad you asked, Azoh. What I do. Bloody hell, how far in are we? Like 2 minutes in? I've already
You want
said
to redo
do.
this?
No, I said do. That was
Okay.
good. That's classic. Yeah. But yeah. So what do I do? I do. Um, I do jungle stuff on the YouTubes. That's basically all I do. So yeah.
All right. Well, this is PBE Talk. So we're going to talk about, as mentioned, we're going to talk about the patch or the PBE update on 6th of August, a few days ago, where they changed some interesting things about armor. They added, or they changed their Juggernauts, which are Garen, Darius, Skarner, and Mordekaiser, to have them fit a more thematical theme. Thematical theme.
That
To,
was, that
to
was
have a
not easy
more,
for you to say.
yes,
Fit my the Sorry. Yeah, the thematical theme. Yes, totally with you,
the
mate. Keep
thematical
going.
theme, yes. They
Yes.
have their more thematical theme of being more of the hard-hitting bruisers now. And also, specifically, what I thought was interesting was the armor changes. First to look at is obviously the change to Randuin's, which most armor items right now have been slightly nerfed in their flat armor. Frozen Heart has lost 10 armor, Randuin's has lost 10 armor and 100 HP. But the most interesting change so far in terms of armor has been the 10% crit reduction on Randuin's, which means every time someone crits, if you have Randuin's, you take 10% less damage from that attack. And spontaneously, I thought that this could be a change, because we've seen Riot do enforcing metas before. If we're talking the top and bottom turret, getting extra armor in the first armor in the first part of the game, first like 10 minutes of the game. So we've seen them enforce metas before, so I'm thinking this is their kind of way of changing so that IE and Shiv, the first rush build on bot lane, is going to change, or if they want to bring forth the caster AD carries again, give Lucian a little bit of a leeway into the game again, or what do you think?
Yeah, it's interesting because Randuin's is probably like the go-to defensive item for pretty much everyone, really. I mean, armor and health are just your two bog standard stats, especially health. Health is like a universal defensive stat, and armor is everyone does some kind of physical damage, right? And then you have the minions and the towers also doing physical damage, and the jungle monsters. So Randuin's really is just your bog standard defensive item. So to see it change, and to be honest, it's quite a drastic change because they've removed the attack speed debuff that you would give to other people when they attack you. And then, like you say, they've replaced it with this crit damage reduction, and it's interesting because whenever you have like a gimmick, well, not really a gimmick has negative connotations, but like a niche thing, like when Ninja Tabi does 10% reduced damage, 10% you receive 10% less damage. I can't bloody talk, but whatever, 10% less damage from auto attacks. Got it out in the end.
Could you?
And yeah, and now Randuin's has its own niche with the crit stuff. So it's interesting because niche and like generalized items it's almost polar opposites, right? Being general and having a niche is literally the opposite. So it is really interesting to see that change. And yeah, it will be cool to see really how it goes down, like how it affects things. I like in general they've made it a smaller item. Like the cost is, you mentioned the stats are being reduced, but the cost is also reduced as well. It's probably not quite as stat efficient as it used to be, but honestly, that's a good thing. No one likes huge, hulking, beefy tanks. No one likes to see that.
Right.
But having basically, if you now think of a 6-item tank, the fact that these items are cheaper and not as strong individually, that late game tank is not as big of an issue as he used to be when he had those like bigger items, I guess. So yeah, it should be less of a pain in the ass for the AD carries and for those people who play. I don't know if you know anyone who plays Zed, maybe like that.
I'll let you know if I
Probably
find
would
out
like to
someone
see
who
that
still
later.
plays him.
All right. Wow, that's harsh. But yeah, so it's an interesting thing. Like you said, with the popular build of Infinity Edge and the static Shiv, maybe we'll see the Lucian you mentioned, but even someone like Vayne, who's already pretty bloody strong right now, but people who rush the Blade Ruin King or the AD casters, like you say, with Worlds coming up and the Triforce patch inevitably coming in somewhere. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see whether those people take over just a little bit or whether, I don't know, you can only speculate at some points, but yeah, it's an interesting change for sure.
So, when you said niche, I thought about immediately the Thornmail change, because Thornmail's always been kind of this outlier item, right? With how you had to have a lot of HP before you could build it. Yeah. Now, the recent change has been, previously it's been that it reflected 30% of pre-mitigated damage back to whoever attacked you. So auto attacks reflect 30% of how much damage you're supposed to deal. Now that's reduced to 15%. However, it's been added that 25% of your bonus damage is also added to this damage back. All of this being magic damage sent back. And I thought that this was also an interesting change, because now you're kind of encouraged in building all of these, you're adding on all these items, and since most of them have a lower cost now, we're not talking huge changes in cost now, we're talking about 115 gold, but that's still like a less amount of gold, so it's faster to rush and get that early armor. What do you think?
Before I say my thoughts, could you explain why Thornmail was you always wanted health before you got Thornmail, just so people are clear on the...
Oh, that's because of the armor efficiency, because you needed the extra armor so you could be attacked, like it's both so that you could be attacked more back, so you could send more hits back, but also because effective HP, so which means if you have more HP, the armor you have becomes much more effective, or rather, to phrase it correctly, armor makes your HP more effective, which means to have Thornmail be actually effective, you needed HP first. Now it's not necessarily the same way, although since it's 100 armor, it's still like armor still effectivizes your HP, so it's still
similar in theory, but it's changed.
Definitely.
Effective HP it's one of those things which is a bit hard to explain in like a minute, but you can just go look up effective HP if you want to know what that's about. But as I was saying, exactly spot on with, it's not an item you want to see first, right? I mean, I've been doing my Unranked to Diamond series, and the amount of Malphites top lane Rush Thornmail is giving me an aneurysm, but still. It's one of the change which has happened here. It's slightly more expensive now, but considering it wasn't really a rush item, that it's a minor thing, but it's still a thing, I guess. The fact that it scales now with your bonus armor, two big points to make about that really is obviously it not punishes, complete opposite of punishing, it rewards you for being tankier. So the more armor you have, the more damage you're reflecting. So the tankier you are, the better this item becomes for you, basically.
Right.
And on top of that, steroids. If people have armor steroids, so the biggest two examples off the top of my head, I don't know if Mordekaiser's W still gives you armor and magic exists, but I don't even know why I'm talking about Mordekaiser. Who even plays bloody Mordekaiser? But Rammus and Leona, right, are the biggest two that their Ws give you huge armor stat increases. So, maybe someone like Trundle who steals armor as well. Right. Maybe he's, Trundle, this is a bit of a tangent here, but Trundle's one of those champions who whenever there's a tank meta, people are like, Trundle's really good, Why isn't Trundle played more? You stick your ult on someone and suddenly becomes indestructible. And to be honest, in theory, he always kind of makes a lot of sense, right?
Yeah.
But he's just never, he kind of never really gets played that much.
No, it's just, I mean, people are afraid of breaking the traditional things, unless you're Unicorns of Love, but people are kind of afraid of innovation, especially in solo queue, which is where we're getting most exposure, of course, to what people are doing, quote-unquote people, like everyone else. Right,
everyone solo queue,
the rest of the other people.
Yeah, some of those things you find in solo queue definitely aren't people, but whatever. So, but no, that'll be quite an interesting interaction, though. You got Trundle and another tank going head to head. They both got Thornmail, and then Trundle suddenly sticks his ult on the other guy. Not only does he shred his armor, so he reduces the like reflect damage he's doing,
exactly. And he's also reflecting more back.
Yeah, so that's quite a cool swing. This is which also brings us on to the shreds in general. You know, Black Cleaver, Via W, Nasus E. These things, which reduce armor, do they then reduce the Thorn's damage from Thornmail as well? I don't know if they do.
They might.
I don't know.
It's. I mean, you could argue for both. Actually, I guess we'll have to wait and see. I would assume you're right in that, and then definitely we have to make the distinction there that it's Black Cleaver and not something like Blast Whisper or Brutalizer or Yoma's Ghostblade. It has to
Something which
actually
affects the armor
reduce the
rather
armor.
than
Exactly right.
yeah. Actually, there is. I'm reading the PBE post here. It says if you are under the effects of negative % decrease in armor, already they've lost me. Negative % decrease. What does that really mean? Thornmail will ignore it for the purpose of calculating bonus damage. However, flat decreases and shreds that cancel out. Oh, actually, this says cancel hour. Rito, come on, get on your... Let's just spell it, mate, come on. Cancel out your innate % increases. For example, Malphite versus Garen will impact the damage of Thornmail. Now, I'm not going to lie and pretend like I understood what that meant. I'd probably have to read it over a few times and get it. But...
It does sound like they're saying that shreds don't matter. It's still the same based on... If you're under the effect of negative % decrease in armor, Thorn will be ignored. Yeah, it will ignore any decrease you have, so it's still... Even if someone is hitting you with a Black Cleaver, you'll send back the same amount of damage over and over to them for every auto attack. It's your base bonus, I guess.
Yeah, I don't... Why would we say negative % decrease? Am I the only one who thinks... Surely that's a bit of redundancy, just the percentage decrease, is that...
Yeah, negative and
not just
decrease, I mean... Maybe it's a double...
Can you have a positive percentage decrease? Is that, or is your decrease in armor by a negative amount, meaning you actually get buffed with armor? Is that how it works? I mean,
maybe this is a double negative, some kind of secret code they're sending us.
I don't know. I don't know what I'm more annoyed about: the negative decrease or the fact that armor doesn't have a U in it. I don't know. Both of these things are triggering me right now, so I suggest we move on.
Let's move on then to something that doesn't change depending if you're American or not. Warmogs. Everyone's favorite health item has now gotten some seriously absurd health regen. The base health regen of Warmogs is now 200% instead of, well, none. And they've given Warmog a passive which requires you to have 3,000 or more max health. And the passive is that you regen, if you're out of combat for 8 seconds, you regen 3% of your maximum health every second. Wow.
That's a lot. Max health as well, so it's not something that slows down.
No, it's not lost health, it's your max health.
Yeah, it's just, it's crazy. This is... they say in the like the flavor text they put here, their explanations, Riot's explanations, they've actually, well, I'll just read it out. It says, we've decided to push Warmogs into a space where it is powerful enough to replace the act of recalling for healing in the late game. So, blimey. So that is, you know, I don't really know what to think about that. It's strange when you see really new concepts, and usually you would only be able to not recall if you're someone like Mundo, you know, who would get the benefit of something. Basically, he get the same bloody regen as this Warmog is given just because of his passive.
Or Hydra actives or something like that.
Yeah, or lifesteal. Yeah, exactly.
Or like Rek'Sai as well with her ultimate, right?
Yeah,
getting back to.
That's true. That's true. That more in the lane phase. Yeah, exactly. Like just basically recalling is kind of like downtime, right? Which is not necessarily a bad thing. It depends how you look at it. If you want more just impact, like bam, 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 then obviously you'd never want to recall, right? Because if you're off the map, then you're not doing stuff. When you're in base, you're not doing anything.
Right.
But that is, in itself, that's a strategical thing, right? Because just for example, if someone's in base, then that's a good time to push out the wave and go roam, or push out the wave and recall yourself, whatever it may be. You know, there's tactical uses to knowing the enemies in base, but like you said with Rek'Sai, she doesn't really have those tactical downtimes, whereas, you know, she just darts right back into the map with her ulti. So yeah, and with Warmogs, it's a similar deal. You know, there's pretty much no downtime for these heavy tanks anymore once they get into late game, because let's heal it all back up with a Warmog. Black up, what's that?
Right.
I don't even know what that is. Heal that all back up with Warmog. So
it's been because then we have the tanks It'll be interesting to see if this is a defensive item the supports pick up or not, like the tanky supports or not. Because then you have the 80 carry sustaining back up again, and everyone else has a Warmogs except for the mid laner, who just has to, well, not get hit by damage, I suppose.
Yeah. Unless he's Cho'Gath, then he can get a Warmogs if he wants, and he stays out as
can.
well. Yeah, it's another item similar to Thornmail, which is rewarding you for being tanky. So interesting to see, if that, encourages more people to be tanky, or whether it's, giving you the option if you want to do that, but not necessarily pigeonholing you into being like, this is the optimal way to go about things, like with what happened with Cinderhulk, where that was just oppressive and everyone had to get it, else you were not
But the same way, they're still saying you have to have 3,000 health, you have to get at least 2 tank items, otherwise you don't get the full benefit of this. So if you're getting Warmogs, you're kind of committed. I mean, well, I've looked at it, like most champions, if you're getting Black Cleaver and a Warmogs, you can get away with it, as in your defensive item on, say, Zed. If you get Warmogs as your defensive item, which generally probably not a good idea, but you can still get it for... I mean, you have the sustain anyway, so I don't think you'd need it. But hypothetically, you can still, if you buy a Black Cleaver, you still get the HP enough, because most champions aren't at... What's that? That's like, you need to be at 1800 HP, right? It's like 400 plus 800 in your past. You can easily make that with some HP per level, like runes, or just base.
Yeah, that's not 1800 health late game. That's not outside the realms possibility,
right?
Even on non-tanks. So yeah, that is I don't know. Oh god, this is giving me like flashbacks to bloody Atmog Zero. With Gangplank and Jarvan and all that crap.
Oh gosh.
I just hope you don't get like Warmog's Black Cleaver and then just like.
Oh, speaking of Black Cleaver, you got the Black League of Cleavers. You were here then, right?
Yeah. 6 cleavers.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Five cleavers, Riven. Just get another cleaver. Oh, God.
Disgusting. Pretty disgusting.
Well, on the same note with the tankiness, they're reducing Cinderhulk. They're giving Cinderhulk 100 more flat HP, 300 to 400, but they're also decreasing it from 25% health multiplier to 15%. So I'm kind of getting mixed signals here, right? Do you want to...
This is they explain it kind of well though. They're basically saying that Cinderhulk is not the late game item anymore, because that's what multipliers are about, right? Because then the more health you have, the more health you get. So it's more, well, they say they want it more to be like a mid game option here with more base health. So basically you get more immediate benefit from immediate tankiness and less later on. Which, their explanation is pretty solid, honestly, because you've already got the Devourer for late game, although maybe not, because Sated Devourer doesn't keep stacking. You just have to stack it, and then you unlock it kind of thing.
Right.
So, I don't know. I don't know whether, well, whatever. I don't know if that's necessarily makes that much sense now that it doesn't stack infinitely. But, I mean, Cinderhulk, to be honest, I never thought I'd say this, but it was probably one of the weaker options right now when you compare it to Devourer and Warrior Enchant. Both of those seem to be... Maybe that's just because of the champions that are popular right now are champions who use the Devourer and the Warrior Enchant. But Cinderhulk did get kind of kicked in the nuts a little bit, so maybe this helps them. But again, just the tankiness change is quite interesting. Whereas the health seems to be just in general, like with all these changes, armor is basically getting nerfed overall for all the items, like the Frozen Heart, the Randuins, the Thornmail in general. It's just not as, it's more expensive. And MR is being put closer to armor, so MR is getting a buff. And health is kind of like staying around the same area-ish. But it's interesting to see what Cinderhulk does. And I certainly hope it doesn't encourage people to build it in top lane. I mean, I know. I don't want to say I started it because the game was very different back when I was doing top lane smite with Warwick and bloody Fiora, but I don't want to. I just don't want to see smites anywhere but jungle. To be honest, it's always, I don't know.
I agree. As long as just get smite away from my mid lane, and I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like, there's also been, speaking of the sieging, there's been changes to basically every MR item, or the big two, Spear Visage and Banshee. They're just getting very slight buffs. We're talking 5 MR here and there, and maybe a little bit base HP region here and there. Very, very slight. Cost buffs, cost a little bit less, gives the same thing. I don't think we could draw any conclusions from that. But the interesting thing is with Warmogs and with Randuin's 10% less crit, I'm wondering if we're gonna be. I mean, it's often that people draw these really, really extreme conclusions from patches like this. So I don't want to be radical in what I'm saying here, but if we're gonna see more Borks on AD carries instead of IEs, we're talking like Veins with Borks, so we go for percentage HP early, and the true damage based on HPs as well, instead of and then almost like avoiding crits till later on. I mean, the Phantom Dancers are of course relevant for Vayne, but it's interesting if we'll see more Borks instead of crit early on at least.
Yeah, well, I mean, we can speculate about that, but it's kind of pointless because we all know the Triforce patch is coming out when Worlds gets here, so that's what we'll be seeing. But yeah, I mean, the only reason why Bork wouldn't be picked up, well, no, actually, that's not even a reason. Two reasons why Bork would be picked up, because health is relatively, like, in relation to the other, to armor, is becoming, you know, more valuable because basically armor is just getting nerfed.
Right.
So, you know, and with things like the Warmog's changes, right, which is encouraging stacking health.
Right.
Give me my percentage health damage, please.
Exactly.
And Bork does physical damage, right, with its percentage health damage. That is physical, right? So, and with armor getting its nerfs there as well, then yeah.
And you're avoiding you're avoiding the crit. You're going for more because again, they're saying if you're gonna get Warmogs, you gotta go in. You gotta go past 3K. And while we said you can get past that with a Black Cleaver and a Warmogs, generally, you know, you don't really want to wait until like level 15 there to be able to get your Warmogs going. Or maybe no one will go Warmogs at all, though I think it's very unlikely considering they're kind of encouraging sieging with this, I guess, because the MR increase and the Warmog then. But you know, this is all obviously speculation.
Yeah, no, it's true. I don't know. See, I don't really know if I even like the concept of allowing tanks to be better at sieging, because really, there's that kind of like rock, paper, scissors of poking, initiating, and the other bloody one. Yes, sustain.
Sustain, poke, burst, right?
Yeah, basically something like that.
Poke beats bursts, burst beats sustain, sustain beats poke, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, and you know, burst and team fighting are kind of interchangeable there because it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's the term being used in the papers.
Yeah. So, and the people who are good at team fighting are the tanks, because usually they have pretty good initiations and they're just the huge meat walls that soak up all the stuff so their team can come in and destroy everyone. So allowing them to be better at sieging, because sieging is usually something you associate with poke as well, to keep the enemies off the tower, to push down minions and to get the towers themselves. I don't know, because usually if you want to put a bit of dents into the tanks so that you can try and, you know, push them away from stuff, regen, specifically with the Warmogs, you know, it's not going to happen. You can't dent the tanks, because they're just going to bloody run off and heal it all up again. So I don't know. I don't like it when. I do like it when there's certain strategies that you can use as counterplays to things, and I don't like it when those weaknesses are addressed, because I think it's unnecessary. Like, I think it's good and healthy for the game for certain things to be good at one thing and shit tier at something else, because then you pick the thing they're weak at, and it's the rock paper scissors thing all over again, right? So I like that kind of stuff. I'm not sure whether I like, in theory, just letting these tanks have an amazing sustain as well, but I don't know. That's just my opinion on that.
Right. I just think I really think it's because we've been seeing, you know, both in LCS and soloqueue, Varus mid, Ezreal mid, Azir mid.
God, yeah.
I'm not gonna say Xerath, but everything long range, Jace, just everything that's just poking you down for long range. And I guess most other like AD carries and AD mid laners, like the other AD mid laners, they have their lifesteal. So I guess this is like kind of a response for the beefy tanks who can't dodge. I mean, everyone can dodge, but for those who can't sustain, like, I guess it's a response to that. But then again, as you were saying, you shouldn't really be able to just, because you're kind of failing champion select if you can't get a comp that can deal with that.
Yeah.
Because then you should be punished for that, and maybe you can make up for it with strategy or whatever. But it feels like it's just such a good response to poke that. Again, maybe they're trying to enforce meta again to get us out of the poke meta, because it's, let's be honest, it's not very fun to watch.
No.
It's really fun to play, being a Varus and sniping people, but it's really not that fun to watch. So maybe they're trying to get us out of the meta. Who knows?
Yeah. Who knows if it'll even influence meta at all? I'll just be chatting shit and overanalyzing everything. But yeah.
That sounds very likely, actually. In either case, Juggernauts. I really found these, as I said, thematical theme. Did you read the thing about Garen, his ultimate, deciding a villain?
Yeah. I read these a little while back, actually. Is this where he, the person who got the most recent kill or recent kills or something, he's like, that guy's a baddie, and then his ult does like true damage to them or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you also get the nice, the Shogath mark. You can kill them now.
Yeah.
When the ultimate will execute that.
Why did you choose Cho'Gath as that example? You're bloody Zed, mate.
All right, yeah, the death.
Well, he does it as well. Surely that would be the first thing that popped to your mind. Zed, yeah. Maybe Zed does it. He's the one I play with a bloody time. No, let's pick Cho'Gath.
My secret Smurf Shogath main.
I see.
Yeah. No, it feels weird to me to add that kind of thematical theme, as it were. It just, I don't know, because his silence was reduced, right? That was one of the most obnoxious things about playing versus Garen, or even having Garen. Silence for 2.5 seconds. People complain about Morgana Snare. I mean, and then they reduce it to 1.5 flat across all, or is it, I don't remember, I think it was 1.5 flat, the silence?
Yeah, it is. 1.5 all ranks.
And they're reducing so many things. It feels like he's just going to be much more sluggish now overall.
Yeah, it is. Sorry, were you?
No, and it feels overall they've increased flat damage much higher. The same thing on Darius. I mean, this is when I talk about the theme, in that they said they wanted to be these heavy hitting, slow, immobile, big bad guys.
Yeah.
And it just, I don't know, because Darius is the same thing there. It's his Q. It now heals him 10% of max or missing HP on the target's hit. And when he stacks up his passive fully on someone, he gets, I think it was 40 to 200 bonus AD. 200,
okay, I didn't see that. Holy shit, are you kidding me?
No, and I mean, it's going to be friggin' impossible to stack up 5 stacks.
10% is missing health for every champion hit. Fuck yeah, now. Up to 30% of his missing health.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's something.
Let's see if I can find it. And just the whole Darius, where are you? There you are.
Oh
Right.
my, I admit I didn't see that. I read the rework, I think the overall things. I guess I didn't see that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's well, that's a thing, I guess.
There, hemorrhage. Whenever an enemy champion reaches max hemorrhage or dies to Nox or Guillotine, he gets Blood Rage. During Blood Rage, Darius gains 40 to 200 bonus attack damage and applies max hemorrhage to enemies hit. Holy crap.
Even even not looking at the 200, the 40 by itself, I'm guessing that's the lowest it can be, considering it's 40 to 200, right?
And I think you're very correct in that being the lowest.
Thank you. And imagine that, you go all in on someone at like level 2, maybe level 3 in lane. Yes. Okay, good.
Okay.
So I think we got up to we were just talking about Darius.
Yes, a little bit of technical difficulties there, but we are back again. We were talking about Darius going completely ham in lane with those extended trades. I think, and even not even looking at the 40 to 200 attack damage, which is unreal. 200, whatever. That's
a lot.
The 40. If it's saying that applies to level 1, as you were saying, that is beyond.
Yeah, you fight someone. What, hemorrhage is 5 stacks, right? I'm pretty sure it's 5 stacks.
It's 5 stacks.
Yeah, so alright, you get hit with the Q, you get dragged in, you're slowed with the W. Alright, you're already on. Your E doesn't apply stack, I'm pretty sure.
It
so
doesn't.
You're already on 2
and
stacks.
Here's the thing, I guess.
3 more hits and you're gone. Three
Yeah,
more
exactly.
hits and you lose.
And I guess they're punishing that because they reduced his attack speed to 1%, attack speed per level from 4% to 1%, and base attack speed from 0.679 to 0.625, which is he's gonna be really slow considering his Q also has a 0.75 second wind up before it swings. So I mean, maybe this is just. I mean, as I said, thematical theme. They're really going for that theme that he's just slow hitting, but if you let him hit you, and if you let him hit you 5 times, you're gone.
That sounds quite. I don't. That sounds so sluggish, though. You know, I
is.
don't. When I read that, I don't think of like a hulking juggernaut. You know, who's like doesn't move that much, but is a real big body and a real pain in the ass. I just think of someone who's just like. I hate delays on abilities. I just think delays on any abilities.
Tell me about it.
It's like playing with lag. That's what it makes me feel like. It just feels a little like I don't know. I just don't know the way it feels. But
yeah, like adding for no reason at all to a mobility spell 1 second before you can activate it. It makes it sluggish and really I just don't understand it, right?
Yeah, it's I don't. Yeah, if only I hope they never do that to anyone.
No, that would be awful. That maybe makes someone drink a lot more alcohol and consider his life and all that. Regardless, we're talking about Darius, and yeah, I'm just immediately I'm just thinking sluggish but powerful. Like I think they really succeeded with if they want the heavy hitting, or not even heavy hitting, but like slow, tough big guy like the Hulk.
It's a Dark Souls game.
Yeah,
Darius is a Dark Souls mob.
Yeah,
you know, he's this person who just like. You know, and then he swipes across, and you put to like, you know, do that roll underneath.
Yeah, you're punishing the wind up exactly.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly what he's become. You know, but if you get hit by that, you get tagged by that. Good night, you know.
Then you have to run back and collect your souls again.
Exactly, and then you got to go fetch your other controller because you broke that first one you were playing with. But God. I mean that's it's very thematical, but I don't know. It's a theme which I'm not a fan of the theme by itself, to be perfectly honest. And like I say, delayed abilities never. I don't know. I'm just imagining like rushing a Yumu's on him. You already see some Dariuses do that.
Exactly.
Right
I'm just thinking the interesting how it's gonna like balance the other way now is everyone's gonna build attack speed because they want to get the 5 stacks. So they're gonna have like it's not gonna work out the way they want to because everyone's gonna just rush attack speed. And never mind if he doesn't get as much per level. You know, if you get a Yoma's and like a whatever else item with attack speed, you're gonna hit fast. The interesting thing though is even without the 40 to 200 attack damage, it applies max hemorrhage to enemies hit, meaning he hits another guy in teamfight. If he gets to execute someone to begin with, and then just gets to do his Q on 2 or 3 guys, they all have that max stack, which in itself is kind of potent, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I don't know whether, you know. I'm guessing he just keeps refreshing his AD steroid as well, right? Yeah. And if you're talking about team fights, you're not talking about early game stuff. So I'm guessing a pretty hefty chunk of AD he's gonna be getting if he can get in that situation. It just seems a little bit like, I don't want to say like an overload, but I'm gonna say an overload because if you think, you know, all right, so you apply 5 stacks to someone, you get put in a blood rage, and then everyone you hit immediately you apply your 5 stacks to, which. If you guys don't play Darius, by the way, basically means that your ult does crazy damage.
Yeah.
Especially if they're low on health. So you want 5 stacks before you ult someone, basically. And so he can just like boing, 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 boing his way through the whole team with ultis, if that's the case.
Yeah.
But that in itself, Darius was already a very good mop-up without applying 5 stacks of hemorrhage. So now you do that, he's a very good mop-up artist. Then you give him 200 attack damage to boot, and I'm just like, okay, steady on, Riot. Like he's already good enough at like mowing his way through the team if he gets the opportunity. Like it just seems a bit. It's like when LeBlanc had like her silence, and you're just sitting there thinking, what is the bloody point? Why? She's got a root, which, let's be honest, the hitbox animation on that is bullshit. It lasts the tether range is ridiculous as well. She can jump like 6 times in 4 seconds. Her burst damage and whatever spell combo she did, like head on the keyboard, 10,000 damage. And by the way, here's the silence. Thanks, Riot. That really helps. That really helps me not get angry at this game. That was a bit of a tangent.
Oh no,
But
absolutely no problem.
what's the point?
But it's interesting though, because I mean, when we're talking about you mentioning him as a Dark Souls character, I mean, that might be the right, in a sense, that might be the right way to go, because we don't want the old Fiora effect. She's like a running calculator. If you have like your numbers are higher, you win, because what do you dodge? Like, oh, but she has a W, which count? Oh, come on.
Yeah.
She was a walking calculator before the change. You run in, do everything, and if they survive, well, you didn't win. And this, because something interesting is his goal is always going to get to be this. His goal is always going to be to get the 5 stacks. That was hard to say. His goal is always going to get to 5 stacks, and his Q, which has a wind up time and heals him, does half damage if hit by the handle, by the inner part of it, and doesn't apply a stack. Which
It
is,
doesn't apply a stack on the
if it's hit on the handle and not the blade, it doesn't apply a stack. So if everything is about applying these stacks, one might, because apprehend it's what it's called, his pull in.
Yeah.
It also now it slows by 90% for 1 second, which means Darius has to go for 1 auto attack, and then he has to kind of bait a little bit because it's 0.75 wind up time for his axe, and then try to get the full hit. But then again, if you're waiting and letting them get to the blade part, you kind of already let them get away.
Yeah.
Unless you're doing a reset with your W, of course. So
Yeah. Maybe you can do like some kind of really cool tricksy animation cancelling where you like EQ at the same time and you pull him in and spin.
Ooh,
So
that's
you
true.
pull them into you and then
That's probably actually because of the wind up time. Usually with wind up times, you can probably.
True. Unless you're like deactivated in that time when you can't do anything.
I guess it has to do with the range, because I think Q and E has pretty much the same ranges.
Yeah,
So if you
pretty
can
similar.
apprehend them, you can pretty much hit them with the Q anyway.
You may as well QE. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, crippling strike is going to be kind of core. It's the duration of the slow has been reduced. So I'm just saying, like as you say, Yoma's Ghostblading is looking more and more delicious on Darius right now. Attack
Yeah, I mean,
speed.
the cooldown reduction.
Yeah, cooldown
in
reduction.
itself would be really good too. But yeah, the attack speed, it's just a huge go button, right? That's what Yuma's is. You hit
Yeah.
the go button, you just like bam, bam, bam.
Yeah, I'm
5
thinking
stacks
Yoma's
damage.
and maybe a Frozen Mallet and just go to town.
Oh god, that's foul. Yeah. Or maybe one of the new items, which we might be able to get a look at.
Oh, that's amazing transition. Well done. New items. Let me just find where they
Yeah,
are,
pause
because they
I don't know what they're called, so I can't control F them.
no, it's the same. It's
I'm just gonna scroll and scroll.
I'm gonna scroll. And, this is what I went to school for. Okay, here we go.
That's a Busted song. That is. That's what I went to school for. You ever heard that song?
No, I haven't heard it.
Busted's a good band. You should look them up.
I should look him up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they Dead Man's Plate. I tried this item in Blackwater Brawlers, right?
Dead Man's Plate. What?
Dead Man's Plate.
Well,
With a really fancy quote. There's only one way you'll getting this armor from me. Forgotten namesake.
Wait, is this being introduced into?
Yeah.
Oh Jesus Christ!
Well,
it is.
previously
Okay,
an
I
item
didn't
exclusive.
even look at that. I just scrolled all the way down.
Well,
Wait.
previously an item exclusive to Blackwater Brawlers feature game mode, Dead Man's Plate is now purchasable on Summer's Rift.
Yeah, this is the one. Yeah, the momentum one. I have seen this one before as well. Yeah, it's.
It's not that. I mean, it's not Trickster's Spyglass or whatever. So it's not that. That would be amazing if that made it interact. Holy
I'm
crap!
not gonna lie. I haven't played a single game of this new game mode. I haven't even selected a side. I'm just like I don't know. It doesn't
off.
interest me at all. I'm sorry.
But the
Maybe
icons.
Yeah,
But the icons.
I've got the Winter Fox icon. That's the only. That's like I'm never gonna beat that because it's a fox, right?
I
So-
have the one that I wasn't an asshole during winter last year, or was
Oh,
it
the
the year
Baron.
before that? So yeah, the Santa Baron. I was like, yeah, I'm a nice player.
Nice.
All right, let me see if I can find them here. Sterak's Gage,
Yeah, Sterak's. Yeah, Gage.
Sterak's Gage, right? And he's attack. Damn, what? Base attack damage. Okay.
Yeah, I'm guessing when it comes to base attack damage, they're talking about tank items.
Yeah,
Because if I remember correctly, I don't know if this is still the case, but I don't even know why I know this, but I'm pretty sure Skarner is the highest base attack damage in the game,
that's very
and I'm
possible.
pretty sure Maokai is close as
Didn't
well.
Rammus have quite high base attack?
Probably as well, yeah. I seem to remember. I don't know when. Yeah, like I said, I don't know why.
Hmm.
I looked up that ages. This is like years ago, mind you, so it may have changed. But usually, base attack damage is pretty bloody high for tanks, right? And for people who actually have a lot of AD,
Right.
or like the people you would associate with doing a lot of like attack damage, they don't actually have very high base damage. So it kind of so these items aren't, like increasing base attack damage is, in my eyes, that makes it look like it's going to be intended for
Tanks.
tanks.
And I mean,
Yes.
it's upon taking at least 400 to 1800 damage, probably tanks, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Probably.
spontaneously they have quite high base damage as well. But grow in size and strength, gaining increased size. That's speaking of
Yeah.
redundancies. 25% additional
Growing
base.
size is with great increased size. I like that.
Yes. Well, you're definitely increasing in
dear.
size, both
Yeah.
there and somewhere else. 25%
Gaining
additional.
increased size and strength. Sorry.
No, it's
Continue.
fine. I love these redundancies as well, don't worry about it. Additional base attack damage, rapidly decaying shield for 30% of your maximum health. Tanks. I think we
Yes.
can safely conclude from this, if we're going to be Sherlock Holmes here, I think this is not meant for the squishies or AD carries, this is probably meant for tanks.
Yeah, if it was a flat shield and it wasn't base attack damage, that would be a pretty disgusting item on people who weren't tanks. But I remember this. I don't know why I didn't see the last item when I looked them up, but this one I did see. When Rito did their little explaining of things, they basically said that they didn't want people blowing up to stuff which, essentially, if people don't get focused down, they didn't want them just accidentally dying to things. So, when you start a team fight and everyone just kind of pushes all their abilities out, right,
Yeah.
and people accidentally die, they wanted it to be that these tanks were a bit more like healthy in those situations,
Okay.
but if they were actually going to be focused down, they would still be able to get taken down, because
I mean,
but
yep.
I don't know if that even makes much sense, because in my head when I look at this, firstly, I don't give a shit if a tank accidentally dies.
Yeah, if you are a tank, you accidentally die.
Yeah, I don't know how that happens. So yeah, just thinking
Well,
about this,
I
I'm
just
like,
ran into and then there was a queue and somehow
Yeah.
I don't know what happened, but if I had a shield which was 30% of my maximum HP, I don't think I would have died.
if you're accidentally dying to things, you'd probably have to reevaluate your status as a tank. That might be somewhere else, but you have to be a juggernaut for that, obviously.
Yeah, maybe you should consider going to career as an AD carry instead.
Yes, something like that.
But yeah, going back to, of course, the HP meta. Yes, I think
Yeah.
we can.
Scaling.
This is definitely, what's the word for it in English? You're
Well, I don't know what you're trying to
underpowering
say,
a
so-
point, like you're
Emphasizing?
emphasizing. Thank you. It definitely emphasizes our previous arguments about HP metas, and probably also makes Bork even more interesting.
Yeah.
Because
definitely.
the 30% of your maximum HP means more HP.
More
So,
shield.
yeah.
Yes, definitely. It is certainly interesting, and it would. I'm actually just as like an off point. I am quite interested to see like percentage scaling base attack damage. I don't, since the regen changes, which I think just came through in like season 5. I think it was, where they no longer have like flat amounts of health regen. You have based off your base health regen. I've completely butchered that sentence, but I think you know what I mean.
Yeah,
where
I get you.
now an item will have like 100% increased base health regen or 150% increased base health regen, rather than just like plus 10 per 5 or something.
Right.
So, but I haven't seen it in like any other setting, right? Like with attack damage. Probably won't see too many AP items that increase your base ability power, considering literally every champion has 0 base ability power. But it would be cool. Would be cool to see these champions, who who has high base. Now suddenly you have to care about
Yeah,
a
base
tank's
damage.
base attack
I mean, that
damage.
was the same where, if I recall, Sheen has, isn't that also base attack damage, right?
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's probably why I knew that Skarner had the highest base
probably, yeah,
attack
because
damage,
that's why you
because
buy
he's
Sheen,
really
right?
good with Sheen.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. There you go. Thanks.
you're welcome. Just flew out of my head. Okay, what else is new? Titanic Hydra. What's this then? I haven't actually seen this one. Oh, it's like it's a new Hydra
Yeah,
that doesn't have lifesteal. Basic attack
yeah,
deal
it's a
20.
Tiamat, so
Oh,
it
but
was
look at that. 1% of your 1% of your maximum health. Okay, I don't think we need to be Sherlock Holmes anymore. It's gonna be health meta.
Yeah, yeah. It's encouraging. It's encouraging buying some health here. If your on-hit damage is now influenced by how much health you have, although just looking at so if you do 20 plus 1% of your maximum health, say you have let's say the 3,000 health, right, which
3,000.
is
Yeah,
what
30
unboxed
extra
almost.
damage. Or
30
is
extra
it?
damage.
Yeah, it's not that.
It's not that much. I mean, 50 in
It's
total,
still
I
50.
guess,
I mean,
but
it's not
like,
that
it's more
bad.
than Wit's End, right? Wit's End gives you on-hit damage, and that's what 42, I think. So if you have 3k health, you know, suddenly you're getting more on. Although, of course, Wit's End gives you attack speed, so in general you're getting more
Yeah.
actual. But whatever, you know, as far as the on-hit goes, it's not bad.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Tom Kench is a good example of the new champion he has a very similar mechanic as well, right? I think it's with his ultimate. When you put points into his ulti, suddenly your abilities and your basic attacks do extra damage based off of your health. I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
Okay.
I don't even own the champion,
have
so I
not
might
played him
not
yet,
know.
so-
But I did play him on the PBE, so I think that's the case. But yeah, at any rate, it doesn't seem like something which would be a big deal. But you actually do feel it quite a lot. So it will be interesting to see if that's the case with this one as well. And also the cleave thing here, where your basic attack's still 40 plus 2.5% of your maximum health as physical damage in a cone on hit, which I'm guessing here, think of like a via E, right? That's what your attacks
that's
basically do via E's, yeah.
And
the
then
active,
oh, holy crap.
I'll let you take this one away.
Your
'cause
next
there's a
basic
bit of a
attack
twist.
deals. Yeah.
We're
Alright.
gonna see this one coming.
Are you guys ready? Your next basic attack deals physical damage equal to 20 plus 10% of your maximum mana. No, it's
Oh damn!
10% is your
Okay.
maximum health in a large cone. Cones are interesting. I don't know. Like a Y, exactly. It's not Tiamat where it's like a crescent. It's a cone. It's like a, what's it called? A fucking frost mage in WoW. Cone of
Yeah,
cold, right?
Cone of cold, yeah.
But, you know, yeah, maximum HP. And this is also one of those fun items like IE that scales or that empowers itself, gives you HP and makes you deal damage based on bonus HP. So I can't see people not buying this because it's also clear.
Yeah.
Like it gives a tank wave clear. I mean, yeah, many tanks have wave
Yeah.
clear, but even more wave clear, right? So it's utility and it's really good damage. And I mean, it gives you 250 HP. Nothing to sneeze at. Okay, maybe it is a little bit to sneeze at, but it's still like for a damage item,
Yeah.
for a tank. Getting the Titanic Hydra and the Sterak's Gage, I mean, you're kind of set. They've always been interested in this whole tanks are going to deal like a lot of damage for being tanks, right?
It's the Atmogs here all over again. This is what I'm just looking at. It so reminds me of being rewarded via damage for building tank.
Right.
And I don't know. For me, anytime that happens, I just think bloody hell, that's bad, right? I don't know. It just for me, it seems like I think if you're gonna build tanky, then you should have the offset where, okay, I'm probably not going to do as much damage. But this kind of thing, I don't know, it worries me. I don't even know what the the crescent active is on this item, i.e. you know, where your next basic attack deals physical damage equal to 20 plus 10% of your maximum health in a larger cone. So I don't know if that's going to be a similar cooldown to what Tiamat has and what Hydra has, where it's like a really low active cooldown.
Yeah.
Or if it's going to be something a bit longer, or I don't know. To be honest, I'm guessing it's probably going to be quite short as well. So you know, if you get that item, and maybe the Sterak's Gage, or maybe not even Sterak's Gage. If you say you're playing like a bruiser, right? Say you're playing Jarv, and he's a quintessential Atmogs like
Yeah.
guy. So say you get this Titanic Hydra. Say you've got a black cleaver, and then do you need much more DPS items, considering you're going to be rewarded for building health, right, with damage because of
Right.
this Titanic Hydra? Do you need more damage items?
No, you really don't. I'm like
Probably
maybe
not.
considering I guess that's interesting because I mean, generally you buy. If I recall, Vi used to go Trinity Force, another damage item, Black Cleaver, right, and then full tank. Because
You can, yeah. Triforce
right?
is like the core, but yeah, she can do that.
Because I think we will see two. Because even Black Cleaver gives you 400 HP, and I mean everything is about HP now. So you go, and then I guess it's interesting because we were talking about how you want to stack armor because you're sacrificing two of your item slots on HP, on 2 HP items, and then you're kind of saying I want to go into the HP tree. Because then you can't pick up a Thornmail if you want to stack armor. You kind of have to choose there. So I guess maybe it is a little bit diverse in that sense. But I'm not feeling it really.
Yeah, maybe Gallo will become flavor of the month because he can shield people for like bonus armor and magic resist, right?
Yeah, and then they deal more damage.
Yeah, and then suddenly, boom. You know, if they've got a Thornmail, suddenly they're dealing 10,000 damage to everyone, and if they don't have armor, then suddenly you're not a squishy anymore. You've got more of that effective HP we were talking about earlier.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Yeah,
it's going to be a happy medium, but definitely Randuin's 100% going to be picked up next patch. It's also cheaper, even though it's a little bit weaker. It's still cheaper, so you're going to see more.
It's a smaller item.
It's a smaller item, but it's still so relevant because I mean, again, it's another item that kind of scales with itself. So it gives you more HP and makes the HP more effective with armor. So, and with all this extra, you get as much HP as you can. I don't know, because you know, as you say, the 2 damage items you'll get is either Titanic Hydra or the Sterak's Gage, or maybe just the 2 of them if you don't need Black Cleaver. And even if you get Black Cleaver, that's 400 HP in itself. So it's still, I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting. Guess we can end this whole debate by me adding. Because I've been asked, you can't believe how many times I was told, Sud is getting poached, he's getting buffed again. It's gonna be just 0.5 seconds. I'm like, I mean, that's cool, but, you know.
Well, that's half.
It's half. You know, if they did the same thing one more time, there'd be no delay. How about that? I mean, let's be honest here. It's just, at this point, it's just clunky. 0.5 seconds means you can't jump back immediately, and I mean, not a lot of people are going to be able to react to that. It's just, you won't be able to dodge specific AoE, you won't be able to dodge something like a Mumu snare. Unaimed skill shots generally are going to be, like, you still won't be able to dodge them, and if you're playing against someone who's competent and knows how to aim their skill shots behind you, still going to be the same issue. So, I don't know. You can, the interesting thing you can do is bait with a W, the double jump, as I explained before, but I know, like, we can't complain. This is just a buff. This is nothing bad about this buff at all. So, you know, I should stop complaining before they reverted it again. So, you know,
it's something.
It's something. It's something. And let's be happy about that. Thank you, Based Riot.
See Zach here. Do you see this? Zach's rank 5 elastic slingshot. Its range is now increased to 1800. Bloody hell.
Jesus, 1800.
That's quite a lot.
That's
quite a lot. It's 250 more than it was before, which is nothing to laugh at.
It's the 1550 to 1800.
Yeah,
that's 250. Sorry, I thought it was 1450. Okay.
Yeah. And considering you max E first, right? You're actually gonna feel that. Cool.
Well, you're gonna see some long-ranged slingshot ganks, I guess, even longer than before.
Even longer than before. You're gonna see it coming.
Of course, some Victor nerfs, well, very, very well deserved, finally, right? But other than that, there isn't. I mean,
there's loads of stuff. But if we covered everything, we'd be here till tomorrow. So
yeah, exactly. Some small changes, but I guess that's the big gist of it, I'd assume. So look out for that HP meta, I guess, and don't forget your Warmogs or stack armor, and yeah. You know, Victor is still an asshole. Have fun.